wake up, hit 100 push-ups, then I'm at my route. Check on my stocks, see how they looking, then I'm sliding out. When you start seeing your progression, you stop having doubts. And what's the point of having clout if you can't cash it out? True to this game, and I'm a lifer, ayy. Feel like we finna change the cycle, ayy.
Welcome back, wealthy people. Welcome back on another beautiful Wednesday. It is your boy, David Ballard, one half of the Black Wealth Renaissance crew. You know what we here to do. I'm here with my brother from another, Jalen. How you feeling, dog?
What's down with it, y'all? It's your boy, Jalen, man. I'm in this thing, feeling great, feeling amazing. I'm off of work tomorrow, so I'm energized. I've been working 6 days straight. I am teed up. I'm great, dog. How you living today?
Man, I can't complain, brother. You know what I'm saying? I've been on a little grind, you know what I'm saying? The storms and stuff been picking up. So I've been working. I was at it 13 days. I finally got a little rest the other day.
Sheesh.
You know what I'm saying? You got to get that rest on that journey. You know, got a little recovery day in.
I was
got
telling
on the
you
grill.
that, bro.
Got to do some, some
think
fun stuff.
I think that's something that happens with entrepreneurs in general is we take rest. We feel like we didn't earn the rest, right? We feel like rest is something that once you hit a certain milestone or once you then I can rest. It's not taking
I'm gonna sleep
rest.
when I'm dead.
It's not taking it for granted. It might be taking it for granted.
It's that mentality.
Yeah, the I'm gonna sleep for dead mentality. I'm gonna sleep when I'm dead mentality. But basically, a lot of times we do not take that rest. We do not take that, but it is just as important as the grind. The rest is just as important as the grind. And everything that happens in life, there's rest that also comes along with it. Your car rests whenever you're not driving it. Your air conditioner rests. Your body needs rest. Machinery needs rest. If all of these things, the cycles, there's daytime, nighttime, all of these things, right? Rest is a part of nature. You need a rest.
Yeah.
So don't feel guilty whenever you do take those periods to rest and just to rejuvenate yourself.
Yeah. But you got to draw the line. You got to know where you're going from resting to bullshit. And I don't like.
I'm not telling you to lollygag.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you to lollygag and BS around and squander and do all of these things. I'm not telling you to do that, brother. But I'm telling you that rest is just as important. Yeah, rest is just as important.
I think about it, like whenever you working out, you can hit the gym 7 days a week, and you might not see your results for real till you take a couple of days of rest when your body get that opportunity to recover and build. So I get it, but it's periodic. Everything, like you said, is a cycle, and it got to be within a good balance. But as always, y'all know we back for another great episode.
Yes, sir.
Because where we going, I feel like we already talking about what we going to talk about.
Well, so before we even get to that, I got one more thing that I wanted to talk about. It's like a little life update or whatever, right? Last week, I actually went to the doctor. I went to go do my annual physical for first time in a long time, guys. I'm going to be honest. I was one of the black men who wasn't going to the doctor like I needed to go to the doctor. But I'm approaching 30.
I ain't seen them niggas in a minute. I ain't going to hold you.
I'm approaching 30. I got a kid. I got a fiance, soon to be wife. I have another kid on the way for people who might not know. So I have another kid on the way. And I was just like, let me go get myself checked. Let me go to the doctor. Let me go see what's going on. If it is something that's out of whack, let's catch it early before we just, we don't take that time to really focus on our health as well. I said all that to say all my tests came back good. They did say my cholesterol was like 10 points higher than where like the baseline is. Should be 100. I was at 110. So it was like, it's not nothing that cause for concern, but that's just something that you need to make sure you don't let get out of hand. But everything is good. No high blood pressure, no high blood sugar, nothing like that. So that's good to really know. And just, I say that to say, man, y'all go get checked. Go focus on your health as well. You need rest, but you also need to make sure that you being healthy.
Indeed. It's always good to get checked out. Like I said, I ain't been to them in a minute. I actually got to get something on the schedule.
You was yelling, go get some damn stocks. Go to the damn doctor.
I don't agree with those sentiments all the way 1-to-1. You should get checked out, but don't go to the doctor for everything, nigga.
Oh, I'm not just telling. You see, you try to twist my words. I'm telling you to go get checked out and go get preventative care. That's what I'm telling you.
Go get screened. That's what you say.
Yes.
Yeah. what I'm saying is buy stocks in any market. Don't be going to the doctor if your ass twist your ankle and you think, oh
Y'all hear
man,
this
my
nigga?
shit broke.
Y'all hear this nigga? This is the same nigga whose knee has been fucked up for 2 months.
You're right. And that's why I said I gotta go see them boys. But listen, we gonna get it right. We gonna get it right all the way.
Yeah.
Everything take time. Healing is a process, man.
So I'm challenging you, my brother. Go get checked up. Go to the doctor. Report
I'm
back
going to the
with
therapist first, actually. Just see what's
report
popping
back
off
with
with that.
what's going on, man. I want to make sure you healthy, my brother.
Oh shit. You know what I say? I'm gonna pop up with the physical therapist first. You know what I'm saying? Go and see what they talking about.
Bet.
Get that knee together. But indeed, like I said though, getting into it, welcome back to another installment of the show, guys. Want you all to, before we get into it, leave us that 5-star rating and review. It definitely helps us
We
continue
needs
to
it.
grow the show. And
I
as
want
always,
it. I need it. I got to have it.
all right, you sounding real, you know who. Whatever I want, I have to get.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
Wait.
you sounded a little, you know who, brother.
I
You
wasn't
sound like
going
a
down
little-
that path.
Yeah, I'm just saying, brother.
I'm a chill.
But no, man. Actually wanted to share the most recent review that we got on the show.
Yes, sir.
So, last review on the show is coming courtesy of Swamp Doc. Shout out to Swamp Doc.
Shout out Swamp Docs.
Definitely an eye opener. I started my financial literacy journey last year because I was tired of the monotony of the 9 to 5. So I searched for different podcasts and came up, you gentlemen. I love your content and views from a Black perspective. The information has been invaluable, and I have started applying different strategies. The icing on the cake is that we're from the same area. I'm from Opelousas, so if you can make it out of there, if we can make it out of there, we can make it out of anywhere. Facts. Love to see my people doing big things. Keep doing what y'all doing, brothers.
Whoa, was that with it, Swamp Docs?
Yes, indeed.
Shout
and
out
that
to
was
you.
a 5-star rating and review. Like we say, we always appreciate those. And continue to share the show with people that you believe can gain value from it. We like to get you guys' feedback. Well, we've been getting feedback on the new format. We still are having other content planned for you guys. We getting ready to roll that stuff out, so y'all stay tuned with us. We about to continue to just apply pressure. Like we said, we're getting consistent back again.
Yeah.
And that
we're getting consistent.
We're gonna keep building on the foundation that we're building.
We're refining. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I'm about to be vulnerable real quick, man. Listening to the last pod, my brother was editing. He made a very prevalent distinction to me. I said, way too many damn times last podcast. So I apologize to anybody who listened and sat through all of them ums. But once again, it's knocking off the rust. See, I just said it. I caught it. I'm conscious about it. It's knocking off the rust and just getting to a point where you're comfortable being behind the mic, learning your timing again, learning how to take those pauses that you need to take without using those filler words and everything. So, y'all, we're going to continue to elevate. We're going to continue to take it to the next level and get back to where we used to be. I promise you, BWR back on top. Number one in your hearts, number one in your minds. Let's go. Let's get it.
Let's get it. So kind of getting into the first topic of the day is actually similar to where we started before, whenever we started, getting into the updates and everything about the journeys. And that was kind of talking about that importance of finding peace in the process, right? So one thing we alluded to earlier is the idea that Jalen was talking about. And the idea that, oh, I can get rest whenever I get to this point or I reach this milestone. And I think a lot of people, especially entrepreneurs, young Black millennials, suffer or struggle with that idea of what's been coined destination addiction. And that's defined as, the belief that happiness lies at the next place, the next job, the next partner, the next level of success. That whole idea that, the grass is green on the other side. I'll be happy when X happens. Or I'll be
happy
cool with it
once I get this job.
Once I get this job, this
I'll
promotion.
be able to rest, or I'll be able to afford these things
once I close this deal. Once I land this big deal, then I'll be able
once
to
I
spend
get
the
this
time.
bonus, I'm gonna be able to do all of these things.
Right. And getting into that mindset and that habit is real easy because we live in a hustle culture where it's encouraged, like, hey man, go get it, which I think is necessary but it can't be hustle at the detriment of your health, like we were talking about at the beginning. Your mental health, your spiritual health, your financial health. Because sometimes we think that like just grinding and hustling is gonna be the way to reaching what we need to
Level
reach.
up and get to that next level, when honestly the hustle and the grind could be what's keeping you stuck in one place anyway.
You getting stuck on that idea like we were talking about last week, being busy versus being productive. You being real busy and you feel like you're getting a lot done, and you're like oftentimes ending up overwhelmed because you're trying to do so much.
Let's
When in all reality,
let's break it down, bro. Like, once again, you're busy, but what have you truly accomplished? You might have a lot of tasks that you checked off, but was that towards the goal that you were trying to achieve? Or did you just get a lot of shit done? Was that meaningful work? Was that work that was going to take you to the next level? Or was it just work just to say I got some shit done?
a lot of times the work that's getting done, it feels like it needs to be done. And truthfully enough, some of it does need to be done, but it's not moving the needle in the right direction on the big goals. Getting so caught up in the daily hustle and bustle
But I
that
think that's
you lose
why
sight of you lose the forest for the trees.
I think that's why you need SMART goals, right? You need specific goals that this is what it is. They are measurable, they're obtainable, they're time bound, right? And you can make sure that you are executing them. I think that's what the E in SMART is.
What, nigga?
I'm sorry, I'm tripping. SMART.
What?
SMART. Oh, I had a moment.
That boy said the E is
For
smart.
some reason, I
Smart.
combined smart and time in my head. But no, specific, measurable, obtainable, relevant, and time bound. The R is relevant. Sorry, y'all. Brain fart. Please excuse me. Come on,
Bro,
David.
that's hilarious.
It's
I
not
ain't gonna lie.
it's not that funny. It's really not. It might be, but it's not.
No, because
Smart.
whenever you said it, it made me think smart. And like, who would say smart like that?
Lil
Medea.
Durk. Oh.
You think you smart since you got your degree?
But yeah, you want specific, measurable, obtainable, relevant, time-bound goals that you can do, right? And that keeps you from doing just busy work. That allows you to say, okay, this is a specific task that I need it done. Is it measurable, right? Is this something that I was able to complete, or was there a certain goal that I needed to reach? Did I need to have 70 phone calls completed by the end of the day? Once again, is this something that's obtainable? Is 70 phone calls realistic for you? Or whatever other tasks that you're doing, is that something that's obtainable? The R, relevant. Is that something that's relevant to the goal, the specific goal? Once again, is that not just the busy work that's doing? Are you taking 70 phone calls from random people? Or are you taking 70 phone calls trying to actually close a deal? Because you could be taking 70 phone calls, but you could be talking and lollygagging, right? And then once again, time bound, right? What is the time that you expect to be done with this, right? Are you giving yourself a week? Are you giving yourself 2 weeks, a month, whatever? Setting SMART goals help you reduce the busy work and that fatigue that comes with just that destination addiction.
Yeah. And like I think I want to talk more about like how easy it is to fall into that. Cause like I think it's good to say, kind of give people the idea, set it down, write it down, make it plain, because that does help keep you on a plan. But it's real easy to fall into that busy for the sake of being busy mindset, especially with like, again, hustle culture, as it's been coined over the last couple years. Well, last episode I referenced that I drank from the Kool-Aid, right? I was one of those folks that
Wow.
kind of fell into that hustle culture mindset, that mentality where it's like, if you're not spending every waking moment building towards your business, you wasting time. And that's not
just what I was
true.
just talking about over the
Yeah,
weekend.
it's not,
Bro
it's
watching
not
the
true.
movie, he feeling guilty. I can hear it in his voice.
It's not true, you know what I'm saying? Like, but it's hard to come over because it's like once you get into that mentality, you do feel that, okay, once you start taking extreme accountability, once you become the individual that's like, okay, if it doesn't move unless I move, then that means I need to make sure I'm moving. I need to exhibit discipline in those moments when I don't want to do these things. But sometimes where we we feel like we're overcoming like challenges and difficulties, we're really just overworking ourselves and taking away from our ability to really do the meaningful work because we so focused on that busy work.
I kind of equate that to, whenever people are grieving and they're grieving and they just do stuff to keep their minds off of the actual loss or the actual tragedy that happened. They'll just be like, hey, I'll do this. I'll pick up a second job, or I'm just going to hang out with my friends all of the time. I think it's kind of along the same lines. Yeah, you're working through the pain. Sometimes you're hustling through the pain, or you're hustling through the struggle is probably what I would say is you're hustling through the struggle, trying to get to that next point. What you got to say, man?
I guess it's like I see both sides of it. Because on one hand, right, because life gets hard and challenges arise, you can't just always, capitulate to that. You have to persevere. You have to have a level of resilience because life is gonna keep happening to you.
Mm-hmm.
Then on the other side, whereas like I get it, like you also are hurting yourself from a different standpoint because while you may be being productive, your productivity is coming at the sacrifice of actually dealing with the things you need to deal with so that you can come back into it in the mental space you really need to be operating in. Because a lot of times, whenever you're working in that way, it is a distraction. Like because I think about it like whenever my grandmother passed, right? It took me a while to process those emotions. I kind of just, as I've always done, was the person that I was just gonna work. Like I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing throughout the day. Try not to think about it too much. Try not to put too much on it, and persevere. Do what I need to do so I can get what I need to get done during the day. But if you're doing that 6-7 days a week, you're never really taking the time to process what you need to process. Kind of sit there what you need to sit there with. So like I said, I see both sides of it. I think it's beneficial up until the point where it becomes a crutch, and then that's where everybody's different.
Okay, I think you said something really interesting in there. You said, when life happens, you shouldn't capitulate to that, which basically means conform or let
life dictate.
Yeah, life dictate
how you're gonna act.
What I think the difference is maybe of what we're speaking about is that's outside forces impacting it versus the conversation that I was having, which I feel like the conversation that you just went to is really a good one, and we can go back to that. But the conversation that I was kind of talking about is the stopping to smell the roses while you're in it, right? Stopping to take a break and have gratitude. Although you haven't reached the destination that you're at, sometimes because you're working so much, it's not allowing you to reach that next level, right? Let's look at it from the eyes of the player and the coach, right? You have a player who's just trying to win the game. They're worrying about scoring. They're worrying about how can I win this game? And then you have the coach who is also worried about winning that game, who's also worried about getting to that next level. But because the coach isn't on the field or on the court with the player, their view is different. They're seeing something that the player isn't seeing because they've had the chance to step back and analyze the game, right? Does that make sense to you?
No, I'm following you.
So like sometimes you're getting so worked up being the player, you're not taking the time to step back and analyze, okay, yeah, I'm still trying to win the game, but I'm not saying to...
Am I taking the best actions to win the game?
Am I taking the best actions to win the game? And I'm not saying, whenever I say, stop and enjoy gratitude, I'm not saying that it's the fourth quarter, you got 30 seconds left on the clock, you're up by 3 points, and you're already cheering like you won the game. I'm not saying that, right? But I'm saying maybe you're about to win the game, but you're antsy, or you're a person who's maybe being too aggressive and you're making mistakes that could be costly and cause you to actually lose the game. Because you're up 3 points, but that can change very drastically if you make the wrong choice. Whereas the coach, they have that viewpoint and say, hey, look, go to his weak side. I've been seeing him play, whatever, doing all of these things the whole time today. And if you go to his weak side instead of you keep on going to your dominant side, that's where he's most weak is at, right? It might be uncomfortable because you're going to your dominant side, but if you go to his weak side, he isn't able to guard that or whatever, right? I know I just made up this crazy scenario.
So I was gonna say, zooming back in from that analogy, right? Because I understand the train of thought you on, right? But where I see, like, again, that's beneficial. You do need to take that step back to make sure that you are working on the important work. Whenever we talked about it a lot, whenever we were reading and learning a lot from a lot of these different authors, the idea that of working on the business versus working in the business.
Yes. Who
Like
not how.
that was a big one,
That's
right?
a good one.
From that book, Who Not How. Thank you. I couldn't remember what book it was.
I remember that one. Who not
But
how.
working on the business versus working in the business.
No, or is that E-Myth? That might be E-Myth Revisited.
It might be E-Myth. Like I said, we've read a lot.
It is E-Myth Revisited.
It's been a minute since I've read it, so
Who Not How
that will make sense.
Yeah, Who Not How was about building a team. E-Myth Revisited was about building your business for it to be a prototype that could be sold, and a lot of people get busy working on different things. So it is E-Myth Revisited. Sorry, I think that's by Michael E. Gerber, actually.
Yeah, y'all look it up. It's definitely a good book, especially if you're on your entrepreneurial journey. It's definitely good concepts in there. But bringing it back to what we were just having that conversation about, right? When it comes to the idea of reaching milestones and the way to get there, a lot of times the work on the business is going to be what gets there, not the work in the business. And
it is the
finding the peace in that process, I think, is the bigger part to me, because a lot of times it's easy to say, but that grind feel ugly. That grind don't always feel rewarding. A lot of times you're going to do stuff, you're going to think that what you're doing is very impactful, and it don't hit. It doesn't create the result that you want, but are you mentally resilient and disciplined enough to keep working in those instances whenever it gets hard? And I'll admit, I've fell short. I've had those times where it's like you've overworked yourself so long that you've become burnt out and just numb, and you don't even want to try no more, because you tried so hard for so long and neglected the need to reset, recharge, focus on the bigger picture instead of getting so caught in the minutia of the day-to-day. Is really sometimes difficult to break. I think it's, easier to talk about in concept, but there are ways that we can find beauty in the everyday journey. And I think one of the things you said earlier, Jalen, is a big one. Practicing gratitude. Like, on a daily basis, the days where I wake up and I practice gratitude go so much better than the days that I just wake up and kind of get straight to it.
That's a fact. Even if it's just for like 5 minutes, bro. Taking that time just to realize where you're at, how far you've came, the things that you are grateful for that's going great in your life, it sets the precedent and a tone for the rest of the day, to where your outlook is changed and shifted on focusing on what I need to do to, like, man, I'm actually grateful that I'm in this position to even be able to accomplish these things, but also get the chance to go out and try to accomplish these other things that I have in front of me as well.
Yeah. It's very easy when living in the day-to-day to forget how far you've come.
Man, you said something interesting too, where you're talking about, that grind's ugly, that grind, it was a video that I had saw. I could have swore I had it in a note. But basically, this lady was saying, black people make poverty look cool.
I know what you're talking about.
We make getting it out of the mud look like it's something to be glorified, when in actuality, we're just getting by the best way that we know how, and it might look cool. And sometimes we get trapped in the mindset to where it's like, oh, I'm just grinding, I'm just hustling, I'm getting it out the mud, when once again, that puts you into that fallacy of destination addiction, right? Like, now you've got so addicted to just the grind, you're not able to really accept and enjoy the destination of where you've been.
Yeah, man. To that point with what she was talking about, with us making poverty look cool, I think a lot of that is where a lot of bad money mindsets come from, like quick flip mentality. If I got it, I gotta show it mentality. These are things that perpetuate poverty, that are culturally acceptable.
Man, you was just singing 2 songs that was so crazy of how they, what is the word?
You talking Big Timers?
Yeah, how they glorified poverty actions.
Big Timers is a crazy song. Like, when we really listening to the lyrics, what it go? Gator boots and the pimped out Gucci suits. Ain't got no job, but I stay fly. Like, what? Got a
Can't
quarter
pay
tank of
my rent.
gas in my new E-Class.
Yeah, in
Yeah,
my
but
new
that's another bar.
E-Class.
Can't
Can't
pay
pay
my
my
rent,
rent, cause
but
all my money
come on.
spent.
Like,
But that's alright.
da 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 da. Like, and you know, in the culture, that's a
Got everything
that's a
in my
like a
mama
lifestyle.
name. That is crazy because it is a lot of people who live like that. They have
It's a lifestyle.
everything in their mom's name. Once again, they got a quarter tank of gas, but I bet you what else they got? They got some weed. They got some drink. They got the bitches, right? They got all of these things. But they got 2 pennies to fucking rub together.
That's where all their money go. Their money go to the shit that looks cool, the shit that people think are signs of outward expressions of wealth, right? And that's that shit, man. That's that shit. But I really think, like, for me, when it comes to finding peace in the process, I know you were talking about earlier. You know, like I said, Sunday I was watching a movie. I felt guilty about it because I just sat down the whole day.
I could hear, like, I could hear you. I could hear that. Like, it was like you ain't even want to tell me you was relaxing,
nah, bro. I really don't, bro. Because
I know
in the back of my mind, I'd be like, damn, bro, I could be doing something right now.
I heard it. That's why I'm like, bro, it's okay. Like, you good, nigga.
Bro, I feel like I need to be doing something at all times. So it's like, for me, where it's getting to the point where how do I find peace in the process is really just kind of telling myself, okay, bro, it's okay. Like, nigga, you really work every day and then you come home and work
more.
Like, this is every day for you. You do this every day. So if one day every other week you need to rest yourself, that's reasonable, bro. You're a human. You're not a machine. You know, like, you gotta find those pockets, and anybody that's telling you otherwise, they trying to send you on a dummy mission. They not trying to really see you win. They trying to tell you to just grind your life away and throw all your relationships away and lose everything just so that you can hit a goal, which I think sometimes a culling is necessary for certain things. But if you got to lose everything and everybody, that's a problem.
That word, culling. I know we use it in the store at Sam's, but it basically means to purge or prune of bad.
Trim the fat. Like, cool. Yeah, get rid of the things. Get rid of what's unnecessary. You know, like, I think that's necessary to a degree. But if it comes at the cost of everything that you're currently building and valuing, you really need to reconsider what you're doing. I think about that clip of Shark Tank with that dude on there where he was like, you know, my wife divorced me. I done double leveraged my mortgage, spent all my kids' college fund to build this business.
I've never seen that.
Bro,
they probably was on his ass, huh?
What? Fried him, flambéed him. Because it's like, at what point do you realize it's too much? You have to have some type of balance.
Yeah, gave it all. You gave everything for this. He was talking about how he lost everything. Pretty much, it was too much with what he was doing with his business.
So really, he just was levered to the teeth, and he was trying to get the sharks to invest in it. But sometimes if something not working, like, you gotta take a step back and re-strategize. It's not to say you failed and you gotta quit, but maybe you need to reevaluate how you going about this. Because going back to that coach and player analogy, you've been the player too long. You need to take your player hat off and go sit down and be the coach and look at it from the outside looking in. And if you can't do that, that's when you got to humble yourself and start asking people questions.
And
people
hire
who've been
a
there
coach,
before.
nigga.
Yeah.
Some niggas you might be a founder, but you ain't a CEO. I'm sorry to tell you.
As most, actually, 96% of black businesses. Most
we ain't even gonna talk about that.
Yeah, I'm just saying most black businesses don't
we can't
have
get
employees
into that.
or never
Maybe later in the episode.
Never had employees. So
yeah, maybe later into the episode or another episode, but that is a good topic. But yeah, wrapping this topic up, moving on. Find peace in the process. Learn how to enjoy the journey. Learn how to accept that it's okay to have a rest. Learn how to celebrate your small wins. Show signs of gratitude, show signs of peace, of solace. Solace is the correct word that I wanted to use right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, show signs of
Solace
peace and
fits.
solace. So yeah, don't feel bad whenever you're on the journey and you haven't hit certain destinations, but you decide to take a rest. As long as
Financial
you're
freedom
not
is a journey, not a destination.
facts.
And these rich motherfuckers, trust and believe, they is not over here grinding like they trying to tell us to grind.
No.
I know they not. You think Elon Musk worked that hard? That motherfucker play Diablo all day.
I was about to say he's one of the highest levels in Diablo. I want to know how. Nigga, you run Tesla, SpaceX, The Boring Company. Your bitch ass is on the board for Doge, whatever you doing with Doge. It's one. Yeah, I was about to say X, Twitter. Bro, that's fine. Come on. And you still find time to play video games? You know when the last time I played a fucking video game?
Nigga, it's been a while. The only time I play is when I chill with my cousins, like occasionally, once or twice a year.
Every now and then I might turn on my freaking PS4 and turn on Warzone. But that's very, very, very rare. Last time I really was just playing games for like hours is whenever me and you was hanging out and we used to play FIFA.
And then that would be every blue moon. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
It's not like we would play this shit every day. So yeah, again,
how you the number one player in the fucking world?
Rest and relaxation. That's how he gets to get all these bright ideas.
Come on, brother. You know he's actually taking meetings while playing Diablo.
I can believe that.
Sound real. I was about to say you sound real Sam Bankman-Fried.
Scam Bankman-Fried. Scam Bank Run Fried.
But yeah, man.
Y'all money. Freed y'all of y'all money. You freed me and my couple $100 on what was that name? XR? What was the name of that shit?
FTX, yeah.
Good times and bad times. But I digress, man. Moving on, guys. So Jalen, this is a good question for us, just kind of getting another little more insight on our perspective and things that kind of brought us to here, right? So which album, movie, or book helped shape how you see money and success?
That's a really good question. So for part of me wants to lean into an album because I love music, but I feel like honestly albums didn't teach me about the success or how I see money. So I'm gonna go with a book. I don't know which book. It's two of them really at the top of my head that I can think about. One of them being this book,
Money Master the Game.
Money Master the Game by Tony Robbins. So this is one of the books that really changed my mindset about money. And I do have the other book is Richest Man in Babylon.
Yeah. So you kind of stole my answer with that one. That's the same answer as mine.
I'm sorry.
You got one book, man. You
sorry.
chose two. You doubled up, dog.
I'm going to go get it for you so I can show them what it looks like.
Follow instructions. That's your problem. And now look, you can't even hear me because he done walked off. Craziness. But no, like he was saying, for me, that answer is actually The Richest Man in Babylon. He pulling up his copy of it now. For all the YouTube viewers, y'all can see that. But Richest Man in Babylon was very much an impactful story. I think it's one of the shorter reads that I would introduce to anybody to kind of get them kickstarted on that financial literacy journey. And the way that the concepts and lessons are positioned are through the story. It's a story of a man, right? He's learning from the richest man in Babylon is this guy. He used to be a slave, and you know, he had a wild journey from. I don't think he was always a slave. It's been a while since I read the book. Wasn't. I think he started off as like maybe a member of some type of nobility.
He wasn't
or some
nobility,
merchant class.
So he was merchant class.
Merchant class, and
my camera not working.
Sorry.
So basically, he was merchant class, and his friend was a chariot maker. His friend was a chariot maker, and his friend was also rich. His friend was like richer than the king. Like his friend was actually giving the king tips of what to do with his money. Somehow, though, the guy ended up getting into debt, and his debts then led him to be sold into slavery.
And the story is about how he
was able to pay himself out of being sold into slavery.
By getting onto a plan, right?
Yes.
Setting himself back to what Jalen mentioned earlier, setting smart goals for his finances. It was the first book that introduced the concept of a budget by percentages to me. Whenever I was very first getting started, I think in that book it was like a 70-20-10 situation where he was saving 10%, living on 70%, and then 20% was dedicated to repaying his debts. And really the big point that was being illustrated there is when it comes to your debts, long as you're the borrower, you're a slave to the lender, right? You are beholden to give this person money on a frequent basis, whether that be monthly, weekly, bi-weekly, etc., right? Working with those people to eliminate those debts, to put yourself in a position financially that whenever opportunities arise, you can take advantage of them. In a position where, unlike most Americans, or I'd say something like 60% of Americans, if $1,000 emergency comes across your table, you're not making it made or broke, or you're not living, as they say, what is it, a tire change to pet surgery, right? Where a couple $1,000 of an expense that was unexpected could really, really affect you negatively for the next few months. By breaking out of that, to break out of that, what you need is a plan and discipline with how you allocate your money. The concept of paying yourself first was also something that has always been drilled into my mind after that one. Regardless of how much, regardless of how much I make, I'm gonna, before paying anybody else, I'm gonna take some of that money and I'm gonna pay myself a percentage, at least 10%. I prefer up to 15 to 20. 15 to 20% of that is gonna be income that I'm gonna save to make sure that I can have capital for opportunities when they arise. Like I just mentioned a couple weeks ago, everything went down with the initial dip with the tariffs. I went ahead and I purchased some more so that I can make sure that I had capital on the sideline. I made sure I had capital on the sideline so that when opportunities arise, you can take advantage of it. And that's a lesson that I learned from The Richest Man in Babylon.
So yeah, yours is Richest Man in Babylon. Once again, is a little bit of mine as well. But mine is also Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins is like Richest Man in Babylon on steroids, if you ask me. Because it goes
modernized for sure.
Yeah, it goes through a lot of the steps. It goes through steps of, one, getting out of debt. Two, you're never too old to actually start saving for your future is also something that it told me. You're just going to have to go with a different strategy. You might have to go with a more aggressive strategy, or you might have to invest in something differently. But it also taught me that it also gave me a lot of different outlooks on different ways to invest your money. And then the last one is section 2. Right? Section 2, I feel like is the most impactful to me.
I can't read that.
It says, become the insider. Know the rules before you get in the game. So I feel like I didn't know the rules of the game that I was playing. I didn't know what was important. I didn't know what winning really looked like for me personally. So this book, it is a long book. I'm not going to lie to y'all. Like, it's thicker than my head. It's a really big book. But you can listen to it on Audible. It's a really great listen. If you want to, you can follow along with it. Or you can get the physical copy. You can read it. You can highlight it. You can ink it up and everything like that. But it's a really great book, just teaching you, like I said, the modernized version of Richest Man in Babylon. It goes through actually a story with one of his friends who was, I think, mid-40s, looking towards retirement. She didn't know exactly what she needed to do. So he takes her through those steps of how to actually retire at a really great way. But it also goes through managing risk. It goes through a lot of things. It teaches the concept of asymmetrical risk. All of these really great things.
I would say a book like Money Master the Game is more for somebody that's like a couple steps in.
Yes,
That's not
it's definitely not something that
into the rabbit hole book.
Yeah, no, not
it's
at
more
all.
of okay, I've been in this rabbit hole. I know some things. You got to have some familiarity with some concepts.
Yes, you definitely need to do that
to get into that.
It was just my question of what book shaped how I see money or success, and it was this book, Money Master the Game. Who put me on this book? It might have been Ian. I ain't gonna lie to you. Ian done that.
Yeah, I can't recall. I do remember us being told about the book and then listening to it, and definitely a lot of interesting concepts, a lot of information in there, a lot of stuff that whenever you first come across it, it may not apply to you in your investing journey, but it's one of those readings that you definitely should come back to pretty often.
Could I get one more book? I know I did two already.
This nigga here, man, you don't know how to follow no rules. I said one book. This nigga done pulled out a third book.
Now tell me this.
Shout out to Suzanne Marie.
I was about to say, now tell me this book didn't teach you some things about business
it
and
changed
accounting.
my perspective on business for certain. When I say money and success, some of the same lessons from Money Master the Game are
and
shared
Richest
in there,
Man in Babylon.
Well, with those two, with specifically Money Master the Game and Suzanne's book, Profit First, the idea of what does winning look like being solidified is definitely something that both of those books taught me that the Richest Man in Babylon doesn't necessarily get into. It doesn't get into what winning looks like. Did
you say your favorite quote from that book?
From The Richest Man in Babylon? Oh, do you have the soul of a slave or that of a free man?
I ain't gonna lie. Whenever you told me that was your favorite quote, that one's hit me in my chest.
Yeah,
man.
that's for certain. Like, that was the most powerful point in the story of The Richest Man in Babylon. Because I think they was about to chop my boy meat off, man. They were about to make him a eunuch. Yeah, because he was over there hanging out with the king concubines and all that stuff. Because he ended up being a slave in that department. And one of the concubines he got cool with, she was the one that helped him get away, and she was the one that asked him the question. Because it was like, look, brother, you can stay here, and you'll be dickless.
That's crazy.
Or you can take that chance.
Reread that book. By the way, y'all, it didn't say that verbatim.
No, obviously y'all getting the David translation, but that's what whenever they said eunuch, I was like, whoa, they was gonna chop my boy meat off, and then
had a high pitch.
But like his opportunity,
singing ass little boy.
His opportunity was to get away or stay. And that is a question that posed to him. Do you have the soul of a slave or a free man? Which, to me, what that question really asks is, no matter what situation you are in life, what's thrown at you, are you going to barbecue or are you going to mildew? Are you going to let your situation determine who you are? Or are you going to continue to persevere through no matter what the challenge is and stay true to who you are and what you hold dear?
That's a good one. So, yeah, those are what I would throw into the hat. I know I threw too many into the hat.
This nigga here don't follow no instructions. I tell you. Y'all get on my co-host, man. Tell him follow instructions.
Man, so you want to move on to the next question?
That was a good book.
Yeah, shout out to Suzanne.
I'm fine with moving on to the next thing. I'll let you intro it.
So next question, I actually was sitting down riding in my truck one day. I might have been a little high, maybe. I don't know. I don't remember. Anyways.
What?
I was thinking about the trade war and something came up in my head. This was actually before on TikTok they started doing all of these exposing suppliers and everything, right? The question to me was, the question that I thought is, what's more important, the supply or the demand? And I posed it for the question of like the trade war, but just in general, right? Which one do you think is more important, David? The supply or the demand, or do you feel like they're both like severely intertwined?
I'm going demand all day. If there's no demand, supply doesn't mean shit. Supply is always going to be dictated by demand. Until there is demand for an item, it's worth nothing. So I'm always going to go with the idea that demand is more important because demand creates the reaction for supply. If it's like a chicken and egg situation, it's got to be something somebody needs or wants before they're just going to have vast quantities of it. And we start seeing price fluctuations based on supply and demand. Because the demand part is the bigger part of it. Because if supply is restricted and demand's high, prices go up. But if demand is low, price is going to fall, whether supply is restricted or not. If nobody wants the shit, you're going to start selling it for cheap. You're just trying to get rid of it. You're trying to get off it. Like, damn, I'm burning money. Let me get off this.
I'm not mad at that.
I'm always say demand.
I think I'll probably go into the same of demand as well as being more equally important. And the reason why I had this question, once again, was due to the trade war. I saw a video where it says the U.S. makes up 15% of China's GDP through the exports that they send to us, right? And the Chinese official was basically like, look,
we ain't worried about it.
We don't need them.
Fuck them.
Really? Pretty much. That's really what he said. Really. Yeah, like, we don't need them niggas. If they want to go, if they feel that way, fuck them, let them go. But also said this, that is a huge chunk that will be felt if they do not find someone to actually make up that 15%, right? Because their strategy is, well, if the US doesn't want to do it, we'll go to other parts of the world and we'll see who does, like who can start to take on more exports and all of these things. My question is then, what other country really has a hyper-consumerized economy the way the U.S. has?
I can't think of any off the top of my head. We are the biggest consumer nation, and our money is also worth the most in that regard. So, like, whenever we start talking about the idea of replacing that wealth, everybody still is operating on that dollar as the reserve currency. One interesting thing I noticed, like whenever we were talking about the trade war the other day, we were talking about like how, China with the partnership with BRICS, how whenever we talk about per capita denominating how much money they have per, individual in these nations, they're
GDP.
often, per the GDP, right? The average earning by GDP for these people is usually less than 15,000 American dollars
a year.
Whereas in America, the per capita GDP is like 89K. So it's like the average person here has more money, more discretionary income, even though it doesn't feel like it to us. We have more discretionary income than people in the world. So a lot of those little knickknacks and fabrics and things like that, I think that's why we see what they're doing now with, those manufacturers who are coming to TikTok to talk about, hey, if you wanted to buy this Lululemon jacket, you could just get it from us direct. It's going to be the same stuff. But instead of you paying $100 to them, you could pay us $6 plus whatever the tariff is. That to me is the supplier scrambling and recognizing, hey, we still got to get this product off to these folks because we still got businesses to run out here. And if we don't continue to push this product, stuff is going to fail. And where the Chinese, they kind of got that, the benefit is they got that kind of state-run capitalism where they got a better control over their media cycle and the stuff that's getting put out there.
And their markets as well. They can prop up their markets. That's actually something that they have been doing, is propping up their markets due to the news from the recession and everything. They've been able to issue out like, what is it? Not subsidies, but it might be government subsidies and different incentives, kind of like whenever we were in the pandemic, giving out like PPP loans and everything like that for these businesses to stay afloat. They're able to do that. But like you said, since it is a communistic, capitalist ran government, they've got more control over just like a free market, quote unquote free market of what America is.
Well, like just in general, that their control over the flow of information is a lot better than it is here. There are a lot less restrictions here than there are there, even though we don't want to believe that. It's the God's honest truth. So with that, it's easy to get everybody on one page out there.
Yeah.
They may be able to.
It's real deal, get down or lay down.
Yeah, and the people who hurting, we not gonna hear from them the same way we hear from it in America. The person who hurting in America really gonna get on suppressed. Twitter, go viral on TikTok or go viral on Instagram or something like that. Whereas like they ain't letting that shit fly. They not gonna let it spread because they want to curate, and that's really what the purpose of media was. We talked about that before. Media is it was originally formed as a propaganda tool. So they still are able to use that as a better tool for propaganda than we currently are in our juncture. So,
and honestly, speaking about propaganda, I want to play this clip from TikTok, and then I got some thoughts. I got some thoughts that I would like to get into. Give me 1 second.
You might need to turn it up on there.
Do you recognize this style, this bag? Of course you do. For the past more than 30 years, we have been the OEM factory for most of the luxury brands around the world. Gucci, Prada, Coach, Louis Vuitton, you name it. But for this, I am not proud because we were only making our wages. The profit margin for the people who are actually making the bags are very low. What I'm really proud of is that first, we have the best quality control. Two, we have the best craftsmanship. Chinese craftsmen are always intelligent and diligent. Three, we have the most complete supply chain. We always get what we want, like zippers, accessories of any kind, any color, and leathers immediately. Now, as the USA and its little European brothers are trying to refuse Chinese goods, don't you think luxury brands are not trying to move their OEM out of China? Yes, they did, but they failed because the OEM factories out of China, they don't have good quality control and they don't have as good craftsmanship. Their workers are either too expensive or too lazy. Three, they don't have any supply chain. They always have trouble getting leather or zippers or any accessories. That is why they failed, and that is why we will always be the best OEM factory for luxury brands. Why don't you just contact us and buy from us? You won't believe the prices we give you. Do you recognize this style?
Like a moth to a flame.
So
that's what these niggas is like. I know it. They seen that designer and they said, "Oh, buddy."
I got a lot of thoughts.
Oh, buddy, I'm about to be dripped out in that Louis, that Gucci.
I got a lot of thoughts
straight from China. From Ling Ling.
So he said, and their European brother, but don't Trump got smoked for Europe too?
I think he chilled out on them. Whenever he did that walk back on the tariffs, I think that little chart shit, that was a show.
Yeah, well, anyways, why would that make China have smoke for Europe? The reason why I'm asking this, because whenever I first started seeing these, I was like, okay, they very well could be the OEM factories. Or these are opportunistic.
You talking about them being IP thieves? IP thieves.
Yeah, these are opportunistic companies who are seeing open up in the market saying, hey, look, let me just go to a direct seller. Because I don't think that even if they were OEM factories, I feel like there's something in some type of paperwork that you're violating, just saying, hey, I'm out here putting all of this on Front Street or whatever, right? I feel like there's some type of paperwork, something somewhere.
Then that becomes issue of who's holding them accountable.
Facts. And then
if it's their government don't give a damn.
That's what I was about to say.
Probably why Britain has beef with them, which is one of the main reasons the U.S. has beef with them. Mm-hmm. Intellectual property theft. Like, you have the blueprints, you have all this information on how these people are supposed to be making these products to specs, and then you're bootlegging and duping it and making a profit on it.
And that's what I was going to say. So it might come out the same factory. I also don't feel like it's going to be the same quality that you're getting. Like, yeah, they're going to tell you, hey, I'll sell you this for $6, or I'll sell you this bag for $150 or whatever. But they sold you some shit that is really not going to be on the level of what you thought you were getting, right? So I do feel like, once again, that's another thing, because we know economy is a scale. So if you got a place like Lululemon or Louis Vuitton who's putting in 10,000, 100,000 orders of this one thing, of course that fabric's going to be cheaper because you're buying so much in bulk versus you're just producing one-offs to sell to regular American consumers. Because let's be honest, they say, oh, you can just call us. How many fucking people about to call these niggas, man?
You be surprised, dog. I really think as long as they make it easy and make it direct to seller where they can go online and do it, people going to take advantage of it.
But they're telling them not to go through Alibaba.
The argument is always going to remain, this is where the shit coming from anyway. If this is where the shit was made at anyway, what's the difference, right? That's always going to be people's argument about it. Like, if it was made in a Chinese factory with Louis Vuitton saying, oh, this is Louis Vuitton approved, or the same people who work in the factory made a dupe that was slightly different, I think the people who going to spend the money to try to look like they got it, they was going to do that anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, the people who really want real shit, they still going to buy real shit.
I was about to say, so you feel like this is about to be the green light for everybody to just hop on DH Gate and go crazy?
I still feel like people like myself who don't really care for design or anything, it's not going to spark that class of people. You don't care about designer shit either. Like,
I'm with somebody else. Let me know when they start dropping them furniture manufacturers, nigga.
I think they did drop one of them.
Let me know where I can get
like
me a sofa from.
warehouse or something like that. I think I seen a lady talk about that where she found like a sofa that they were charging something like
Sofas and
10K
mattresses.
plus.
That's what I want to know.
She found something they was charging 10K plus for, and it ended up being like 3,000 after the fees and all that stuff. So
That's after import and tariff fees.
yeah.
Nah,
So like,
okay, we talking now.
like that type of stuff. I just think again, it shows to me more than anything, demand is more important than supply. Bringing it back to where we started with this conversation, they have supply. But they know that if they're cut off from the demand from the American dollar, it's going to hurt them in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
So they're doing everything in their power to make it look like we have that ability to go and do this. I'm still waiting on another shoe to drop. I don't think it's going to fly. At one point or another, the U.S. is going to probably try to start blocking some of these goods from coming in.
Either
especially
that
the
or
ones that
they're
have
just going to
IP.
let the TikTok ban expire and just really just say fuck TikTok.
Yeah, I think like the IP theft might be where they might start doing extra checks or something. I don't know. With the way they're trying to do government, they're trying to ramp shit down. So possibly not. But
It's interesting. I also brought that video up because you used the word propaganda. I also do feel like this is Chinese propaganda. China pushed the button and said, hey, let's get our influencers on this. Let's show them that we make all of these things. They said that they're willing to go to the death or whatever they said. China say they willing to duke it all out, leave it all on the line. So I feel like this is one of their moves is saying, hey, let's get some of our manufacturers out on TikTok. It's crazy how over the weekend all of these things just became the rage on TikTok, bro. It's not coincidental to me. So I feel like it is propaganda. And I said all that to say China's doing a really good marketing push to show like they're the good guys here, right?
If this WWE, we definitely the heel.
Yeah, they're trying to be Kendrick Lamar and they want us to be Drake. Honestly, like I'm gonna just put it because I don't watch freaking WWE and I don't know what the fuck the heel is. But
the heel is the bad guy.
Gotcha. I know for sure who Kendrick Lamar and Drake is, and I wouldn't say Drake is the bad guy, but
in that story, he's the heel. There's an antagonist and there's a protagonist.
Okay, well, he's gonna be the antagonist in this story. I think they're trying to take the approach of that they're the lesser of two evils, or honestly, they're not even evil and they're the solution. I call cap and I call bullshit on that. Because if you know anything about the Chinese government and you know anything about some of the things and the horrendous crimes that they've done to their people, take it back to 1980s Tiananmen Square, where there was a protest that lasted for like 2 weeks that ended up in a bloody massacre where they rolled out tanks and tear gas and literally shot down the protesters in the streets. They're no better than America. Also, take it back 3-4 years ago to what happened whenever they were in Hong Kong. I don't know if you remember this, but Hong Kong was trying to succeed from China. They sent in their military people. The protests, everything was being silenced on social medias. All of these things were being reduced, and they sent out people in the military, riot shields, same way that whenever black people peaceful protest, is some agents or some shit that's happening. Niggas getting beat with knife sticks, hose down in the street. You got tear gas and all. They do the same shit.
Yeah, it's a government. At the end of the day, it's a government. And they're a communist government, which is a little bit more tyrannical than what we got here. Like, we trending in the wrong direction. I'm right there with you with calling cap on it. But from a global standpoint, they really got they teeth sunk in Africa. And I think that's doing wonders for them in terms of their babyface appeal. They can look better because a lot of the African countries, I forgot where I was watching this at. It was some of the leaders from the Congo talking about it, where all America did was stir up political division the time they were there and kept them oppressed so that they can monopolize their resources. China came in with a different approach. And we all know Africa is the fastest growing continent. I think there's the youngest continent. It has 9 of like the 20th fastest growing economies in the world. So it's a place to position yourself as a better person in the two. Yeah. So again, just for me to put a bow on the China talk, I'm still saying demand more important than supply. Time will tell. I don't think a lot of the places that they ally with can replace the demand that comes from here. But the Chinese people got a little bit more tolerance for pain and bullshit than we do, and they don't have the same ability of free speech to the same degree that we do. So time will tell.
And shift gears.
Yes, sir. So moving on. So back to America, back to the American plight. You know, we've been talking about the middle class a lot lately on the show and just kind of where things are. And recent research and studies have found that millennials are the most educated, hardworking generation. However, they have the least amount to show for it. And that's interesting because it kind of contrasts something that we had reported on a while back. Well, we talked about it a while back where it's like saying, you know, millennials, technically speaking, on paper, are better off financially than the two prior generations were at the same age. But we don't feel like it. We talked about that, right? It doesn't feel like it because how things currently are, right? College degree no longer guarantees that you can move up in your social classes. It does, not knocking college degrees, it does on average show that you will have a higher salary. A person with a bachelor's degree typically has a higher salary than a person with a high school diploma, right? But what it doesn't guarantee is a job. And right now the job market is saturated. People have been in job searches for a long time and they're not getting the results they want. We're starting to see more things about like fucking AI taking jobs and
it's
like,
not even just
like AI candidates.
Yeah. It's people who are using AI to create candidate profiles and using the AI for like interviews and all of these other things to actually steal those jobs.
Yeah. So like you got challenges on the job front. We're on the brink of a recession, kind of been teetering one for years now. And our generation is unique in that in such a short period of time, we've experienced 2 recessions, some of which happened in adulthood for like the older millennials. We were kids during the first one. Then, you know, you had the COVID recession and it's been some economic turmoil. But during that time, what I think is very important is while the wealth gap was widened, some people were able to find themselves on the right side of that equation. So as things continue to go forward, I think it really spells that like, although millennials are the most educated and they have the least to show for in terms of salary and pay and stuff, I think financial literacy does play a big role in that. And it's a very important time for us to make sure that we're learning and applying the lessons from things like the books like The Richest Man in Babylon and having discipline financially, because it's going to create opportunities for those who are willing to do the work. Like thinking about that clip we played a few weeks ago where it was funny, like life in the day of a middle class brokey, and you know, bro was showing all these habits that he had that was like on the day to day they may make life.
Laugh on social media till 2:00.
Yeah, like they make life enjoyable
every day.
They make life enjoyable or fun, but realistically, they're draining you of your resources when it comes to your capital.
I think that's a really good point. I want to but I want to kind of dig down onto that college degree part, because there was also where I was reading people who have master's degrees actually don't move up. Like, it doesn't guarantee that you're going to get a mid-tier, upper-tier job, right? Because the way that they look at it is, yeah, you spent all that time getting educated, but you took 2 years away from your career to go get more knowledge, but you're not actually showing that you're able and capable to perform at whatever level that you need for that job. So I really thought that was interesting with the college degree part. Is a lot of people are going back, getting masters, getting these doctorates, these PhDs, getting these things so they can better position themselves for different roles in different positions. And then the job turns around and say, hey, you know, you're overqualified. And I'm going to speak from it personally. Last year, whenever I was looking for a job, I was in a position where I was applying to a lot of freaking jobs. And every time I got an interview, they'll be like, you know, I really like you, man, but I just feel like you're overqualified. And I don't even have a master's degree. I just got a bachelor's degree. But they was just like, you know, I feel like you're overqualified to work here. I feel like I'm going to be wasting resources training you. And by the time I got you trained and up and running, you're going to be
You're gonna split.
Yeah, you're going to go to the next thing. So that is real life issues that jobs do have to think about. I will say that is true, because I'll be honest, I'm a split. I'm going to do what's best for me, especially if y'all not paying me. I'm gone. I'm dipping.
And I think that's how most people of our generation have kind of approached it, right? Or most of us have become disenchanted with that whole idea of climbing the corporate ladder. For the most part,
loyalty staying at a certain job just because for the sake of loyalty.
Yeah, like that shit out the window, because we seen firsthand how these folk will do you.
Facts.
These folk will do you dirt and then really act like nothing happened on the cool. Like they expect loyalty from you, but when it's time for them to put you outside like yesterday's trash, it's on site. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you quitting? Hey, we need a 2-week notice. We firing you? Hey, bitch, get out the door right now. Take the little box, go on with your shit. Don't come back. We'll call you. Actually, we ain't gonna call you.
What's in
Just
the
don't
email?
come back. don't come back. We don't want. Give me your badge, by the way, on your way out. Yeah, you don't need that no more. We deactivating that motherfucker. Like that's the energy that it's approached with. So it doesn't show any reciprocity. So what that's led to is so many more of us embracing the idea of entrepreneurship and searching for digital income, which I think is a great, great thing, but that also creates a problem.
Man,
There's a
how
problem
many
with that.
kids want to be content creators?
And that's a problem because whenever the pendulum swings too far in any direction, things have gone too far.
You're not providing actual skills, and
everybody can't be a fucking influencer.
You're not Kai Cenat.
Everybody can't be a Twitch streamer. Nigga, we need plumbers.
Facts. No,
we need electricians.
We need plumbers.
By 2027, we need 550,000 plumbers based on the rate at which plumbers in the union retire right now. All they work for is old. Same thing for mechanics. 465,000 before 2030.
Which I will say though, this younger generation,
they're starting to see it.
They are going towards those trades, bro. The younger generation is definitely seeing it. They're taking vocational schools and trade schools over going to colleges and universities. So I will say, younger generation.
I can't blame them. I think I mentioned that as well before. With my cousins, I spoke to them, all my younger cousins, whenever we were there at the boucherie, kind of asking them what they plan. And most of them, they're going into welding. That's their plan because actually Tevin, my other cousin, he went into welding recently as well.
Really?
Getting into these types of tricks. Yeah.
Yeah,
hey man.
I'm sorry. That was me.
That was me, man.
My fault, T.
all you did was call him fat. My boy lost some weight now, so he's straight.
He on Ozempic?
Nah, he ain't on no Ozempic. That nigga too cheap to buy some damn Ozempic. The hell wrong with you? But nah, that boy T, like a lot of my younger male cousins, they have gotten into those trades, those vocations, because to the point, for most people, what they see with college is, okay, you go, you get a degree, you obtain all these loans, you get all the student loan debt, and a lot of people are coming out and getting jobs in fields that either A, don't pay enough, or B, aren't related to what they went to school for at all. So it was like, what was the point? Like, how many people do we know personally from Louisiana where teaching became a fallback?
Brother.
Where they went to school for something else.
You spitting now.
Yeah, they went to school for something else.
I know plenty of niggas who got a social work degree, criminal justice degree, that's in that classroom.
They're in that classroom because there's a shortage of teachers, so they're like, oh, if you got a college degree, you could just be a teacher, but everybody not meant to do that.
That's a fact.
And this is coming from experience. I wasn't meant to do that, not in this education system. I'm good, brother.
Let the people know what you did, David.
Man, look, I taught for 4 months, brother. I said, wait a minute. Hold up. This is not for me. I was working on the ambulance. Let me tell y'all how much bullshit the Louisiana school system is, right? So my old principal hit me up on Facebook. He like, hey, David, man, I want to meet with you. I'm like, what the hell Mr. Campbell want? I ain't talked to this nigga since I graduated high school. I'm about 6-7 months out of college. Been working on an ambulance for a little while now. And he like, yeah, man, I want to offer you a job. Like, a job doing what? Teaching. You was good. You was a smart kid. You was always a good student. What you got a degree in? Shit, biology. Hey man, you want to be a science teacher? My dumb ass.
Sure.
Shit, how much it pay? Nah, shit, how much it pay? On the ambulance, mind you, I'm making 27, 28 in a year. School, he said, hey man, you gonna make like 36, 37. I said, hey, that's an income. Hey, long as the outcome income, I'm in there. You feel me? But I did not think about the opportunity cost, y'all. This is a lesson that I have to learn the hard way. Man, that teaching shit is not for you if you just doing it for the bread. For one, the bread ain't enough. It's not enough. It's not enough. Bro, you don't understand how much time they ask for people. These niggas wanted me to be a football coach. I said, hey man, how much money y'all gonna give me for that? They said, shit, we slide you $1,500. $1,500 for 3 months? Oh, you niggas crazy. To stay here every day until 8 p.m., then sit down with coaches and watch film, it gotta be something you passionate about. And it's too many folk that get into it just for a little bread. So I did it for the little bread. I tried hard for like, I said 6 weeks. But then I also realized the education system, yeah, it's not what it used to be whenever we was coming up. You know, they don't fail kids no more. They got on my ass for failing kids. They said it was my fault because these kids failing. I said, what you mean it's my fault? This little nigga don't do nothing. I'm over here sitting down, spending time showing them shit, giving them examples and shit. This little nigga not getting it. He just looking at me like, huh?
I ain't gonna lie.
Said, bro.
The reason this is funny to me is because I knew the type of student that you were. In your head, you like, look, bro, I done tried everything. This nigga need a repeat.
I ain't need all that damn help, man. This nigga missed some shit a couple grades back. He need to go back. But no, real talk though, they don't hold kids to the same standard that they used to whenever we were kids. And that was part of what turned me off from it. But getting back to the point that we were making about them just throwing anybody in those situations that has a degree, teaching becoming a fallback job is a symptom of the bigger problem, which is people of our generation were told to go to school and you go get a good job and you go be straight. And that was a bad plan, so to speak, because that shit didn't play out like that in reality. All it did was, going back to supply and demand, it increased the supply of people with degrees, but the demand for those people never really got adjusted proportionally.
Once again, it never. You know, my take on college now is, if you go for something that's specialized and has a great career outlook, right? I say this all the time. If I would have really paid attention to school, because in the business department, the tech was under there. If I would have really paid attention and like looked at job projections and everything, I'd have just went for something tech related right off the bat instead of just getting a business degree in marketing. Yes, everything revolves around marketing, but a more specialized skill, something with tech, I definitely feel like would have been the better ROI than just going for business for marketing.
And everything happened for a reason, but I just think of too many in our generation. We were the first generation.
Facts.
Within our family, a lot of us. And anytime you're the first, it's going to be some flounders. Somebody going to fluck up, somebody going to mess up.
I floundered, flapped, and fucked up all over the place, nigga.
But if you don't have no blueprint, you got to make it for yourself. And I really think that's kind of where our generation is at with it, which is why we see so many people, aspiring to do things outside of the traditional 9-to-5 world. People coming home and willing to take that time to invest in their business and build something of their own on the outside of having those side hustles and just doing what it takes to put themselves ahead, because we still did get an example of the generation before us. They had to fall in that booby trap of what it looked like when you don't invest your money early. We got a chance to see that shit. Like, whoa, he just fell in the pit with all the spikes. He all stabbed up and poked up. There's a tiger down there. They trying to tear this boy down. Look, I'm not gonna step that way. I'm gonna step this way. I'm gonna put that money away. So we got that example. And I think now the thing that put us behind is actually gonna help us build a better future. Because we'll see these shortages and these outcomes. Like, I want you to speak to it, because you're a father, you raising your children. I think the things that we have to go through are going to be the lessons that we teach them that are going to make it a better world for them moving forward.
Facts. Like, I replay that in my head all the time. Like, you know, whenever it is time for my children to get to that point, you know, having that conversation, son, if you go to college, you know, you're going to go into a degree where I'm not going to say I'm dictating his life, but I at least want him to know that this is the job outcome. This is the outlook. These are the things that'll give you the most ROI, right? For me, I just wanted to go to nursing because I knew it paid a lot of money and it was a good outlook. But in realistic views, I wasn't meant to be nursing, right? And I feel like that's a conversation that I'm going to have with my kids too, is as a parent, knowing your kid and kind of knowing where they're going to excel and do good things at as well. Like, you know, having that conversation. You know, maybe you're more an analytical person, so maybe you go into this field, or maybe you're more a technician person, so maybe you becoming an engineer might be more advantageous for you. But having that conversation, one, what are you going into? What are you specializing in? That is going to give you the most ROI for you. But also, here are the mistakes that I had. Son, my very first semester, I fucked up. I partied. Your dad might not look like it right now, but I was a wild boy. Don't be like me. Ask your mama about me.
Ask your mama about me is crazy.
I'm just saying, man.
I do think a level of transparency will definitely assist.
I'm gonna let them. I had a terrible GPA my first semester,
and you know they still gonna have to learn lessons the hard way, just like we did.
Facts,
but just having that information in their face, I feel like it definitely help make a better future. So while it may look like it's kind of bleak on the millennial side right now, I do think that if we start focusing as a generation, as a collective, instead of individualistically about our economic goals, then we'll start to see some change. Because right now, them old farts still rawing us down, dog. I ain't gonna hold you. But hey, look, no pause, no grease. Them boys doing us dirty right now. They holding all the wealth and making a lot of the decisions. Whenever we start to see that change in the guard, whereas our generation in those positions, I definitely think we'll start to see a rapid growth in that wealth balance, that wealth imbalance, or a shift in that wealth imbalance, rather. Indeed. All right, so moving on, guys. Last topic of today's episode is going to be another personal question, something that I got from my brother, Jalen. What was the first money lesson you learned, and who taught it to you?
Really good question, bro. For me, it probably was the importance of credit.
And who taught it to you?
Certainly my mom. And I hate to tell this story all the time because I don't want her to sound like a bad mom. But she put bills and stuff in my name as a younger kid. And I remember whenever it happened as a younger kid, like I was super excited because one day she just randomly asked me, "Yo, what's your social security number?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm putting the light."
I'm a man.
Yeah, like she's like, "I'm putting the light bill in your name." I was like, "Oh, that's dope! I got my own bill." I remember going to school the next day and telling my friends, "Yeah, I got the such and such in my name." Like once again, kind of like what you said. Oh man, I'm a man. And I think she kind of told me, "Yeah, I'm gonna help you build your credit with this and everything like that." Yeah. Once again,
right idea, wrong execution. It's okay.
Right idea, wrong execution for sure, brother. So the reason why I said that lesson was so impactful is as I'm getting ready to graduate college, I start focusing on, okay, what does a credit score look like for me? You know, I'm like, damn, I'm going to graduate. I want to buy me a house. I want to do all of these things. I want to buy me a new car because I'm still riding around in my bucket that I had since high school. I want to buy me a new car. I want to position myself to whenever I graduate, I'm going to be set up the best that I can. And one of the first things that I knew is I needed to have my credit and everything in check. Because that's why I heard some of my line brothers talking about, oh man, my credit score is here, my credit score is there. So I'm like, oh shit, let me figure out about this credit score. Check my credit score. My shit's in the fucking gutter, nigga. That shit's in Satan's locker room. That shit's like a 5-something. Nigga.
In Davy Jones's locker.
Yeah. That bitch is like a 5-something, nigga.
Oh, you wasn't that bad. You see him brother with the 4?
No, but...
That nigga had a 4.
Wait, not a 400, just a 4? That's crazy.
That nigga opened the app, that shit said 4. All his homeboys said, God damn.
That nigga can't even borrow time, nigga.
That nigga can't get shit with that type of credit score.
Well, but I was still in the 500. Like, I felt like my life was over, devastated. But it just taught me a few things. One, whenever it comes to credit, you know, one of the big things that they talk about is put your kids as an authorized user, right? Do all of these things. But if you're not doing what you need to be doing, you could be inadvertently hurting your kid instead of actually helping your kid. You put your kid as an authorized user and you're not being a good steward to your credit. You're not doing the good things that you need to be doing. You can actually be hurting your kid instead of helping your kid in the long run, right? So that was the first thing that I learned. Also, two was just maintaining your credit, getting to a point where you're in a really good position, and making sure that you're able to sustain whatever you're having for your debt, right? Don't become over leveraged or anything like that. And I have one more lesson that I did learn. I'm sorry.
Go again, man. Don't follow no damn instructions.
I'm sorry, man. The last lesson that I actually learned this around 2021, 2022, keeping income coming in. Always trying to have a way where you can have money coming in. And who taught me that is life. We were focusing on BWR full time. I didn't have a full source of income. BWR was my full source of income. But once again, wasn't really paying myself like a living wage or anything like that, right? So the time that I missed out on, shit got bad. Like, I was definitely over leveraged with credit and everything like that again. I was about to get my truck repoed. It got bad because I didn't keep a stream of income coming in. Then I got into insurance adjusting. I started making my money. I started being a good steward. I got caught up with all of my bills and everything like that. I got released again. And then a few months went past. I went out to Tennessee. Worked really good. Had a lot of money coming in. Then that deployment ended. So it was going up. It wasn't a constant flow of money just staying there, right? So having that constant stream of money instead of just being like, oh, I need to hit big pockets, these big wins, I definitely think is more advantageous.
Indeed. I can't disagree with that. It's similar to something that my dad always says. He said, you got to keep a foot on base. Whenever you trying to do your thing, it's always wise. Like baseball analogy, I ain't a baseball guy, but like if you trying to steal a base, right, you trying to get ahead, it's not always wise to have both your feet off that base because you can get caught lacking. You can get knocked out the game.
Facts.
But if you keep one foot on base, you still safe. But you kind of putting yourself in position to take off whenever it's time to go. And that's kind of what you said. Just made me think about that when it comes to that steady stream of income. Because I mean, it's about how you manage it. But the thing is, you never know how long the inconsistent times are whenever those inconsistent times do come.
And that's the thing, right? Because once again, I was a good steward with my money. I saved up my money and everything. I was able to withstand not having a job for a while, but what did that actually do to me? That just put me back to being at ground zero versus where I had worked so
outflow, no inflow.
Yeah, I had worked so hard to get to a certain position where I had I paid down debt. I had all of these things in line. I had a surplus of cash in the savings. I had a really nice stock portfolio. I had a crypto portfolio. Like, I was doing everything that I needed to do. But once that slow up of cash happens and you don't have it, then what you have to do?
If you don't have a foot on base,
yeah.
If you don't have a stream, I hear you. It's definitely good. That's good. So flipping that question back on me, first money lesson that I learned, I say it would be from my grandma. And that was always just moderation. No matter what you do it in moderation. Whether it comes to spending, whether it comes to fun, investing, anything. Too much of anything is a bad thing. And my grandma was the one that taught me that. My grandma Arlene, rest her soul. She is so impressive to me because in my life, I never seen her work. Only received Social Security checks, but this is a woman who worked small time jobs her whole life, but when she passed away, she had 50 racks cash put away. And it's like I don't think you ever earn 50 in a year. I don't think you ever earn 50, and she didn't start working until later in life either, because my granddad had a farm. She didn't start working until she was like in her 60s.
Yeah.
So she was just very frugal. She didn't believe in waste, but at the same time, she didn't believe in not buying anything. It's all about moderation and making sure that whenever you do use your money, you're using it in a way that's really going to fulfill you, not just in a way that you think you should, because that's what everybody else wants. So that would be the biggest lesson I say that I learned early. But the biggest lesson is similar to yours, man. Going broke.
Not fun.
Going broke in my 20s taught me way more.
I think
than
that's the best time to go broke,
any
honestly, though, bro.
podcast, any of that shit. Going broke in my 20s taught me more than a book, a podcast, anything that them things couldn't, man. I learned that, like, on my journey, similar to Jalen, right? While working to build a business, it came from being over leveraged while pursuing full-time entrepreneurship. Like, I was grinding, I was building, investing, putting money away, working on stuff for BWR, but at the same time, I was taking on too much debts and overhead while trying to make shit happen. And it's a lot of time, it's the side of shit that people don't tell you, because when you're on the entrepreneurial journey, sometimes you got to fill them gaps with debt. Because sometimes you're going to make a lot of money in a short period of time, and then you're not going to make shit for a minute. And whenever you
going to make very minimum. That's just going to cover the cost of the business.
And where I say I became over levered is I got into too many different things.
Back to last week's conversation.
I had the Turo going. I had BWR as my other side source of income. I'm over here doing like other 1099 gigs, but also like trying to flip different products and shit like that. So I'm putting shit on credit to put investments in. And every investment that you make in a great investment, especially whenever you focusing everywhere. If you focusing everywhere, sometimes you missing shit. Yeah, you missing things because you're not focused on anything. If your focus is everywhere, you're not focused on anything. That's a good way to say that. Because you can't realistically put focus on everything at once. So everything was rolling smooth until it got to a point where, as things inevitably always do, the money slowed up. I came across hard times. I've shared this before. All my cars broke down at the same time. That was a big hit. Money that I had saved, some of the investments that I had, things had to get liquidated to cover this shit. And what it really ended up being was, the way it ended up was I had to swallow my pride. I had to go back to work. I had to go clock in for somebody. And like, it sucked. But it didn't mean that I failed. It just mean that I needed to go re-strategize what I was doing. I just needed to rebuild what I was doing, because the way I was moving, I had both feet off base. And I could have easily got knocked out of the game for good, you know, or got sent back to the dugout. But I'm still in this
dugout
bitch. Bankruptcy. Look, but I was still in this bitch. I was able to get back on the base before the ball got there.
Trust me, nigga, I was almost thrown out many a time.
Yeah, but what that season did, like, it humbled me, and it really hammered home a lot of the lessons from those books and things that we referred to earlier when it comes to what it takes, like the discipline it takes, the resilience it takes, and most importantly, the growth that you're trying to experience. It needs to be sustainable. If you're trying to have exponential growth at all times, that's an unsustainable method. So that's the foundation I'm building on now. Is like steady, consistent. Let's keep growing. Let's not try to become over leveraged. Let's not try to search for the quick flip, the instant gratification. Stop putting in options contracts whenever you know you should probably just be buying that stock because you don't study the market enough. I'm talking to somebody right now, because somebody was me. They got an old white man on my job right now. He telling me about he buying Tesla call options. I'm like, God damn, man, I really just wish you would just buy some damn stock instead of doing this. But like, you trying to flip, and
you're trying to 10x your returns.
When I say brother told me he in the depths right now, he got till May 26th for Tesla to get back to 315 for him to break even.
Jesus.
Tesla trade at like 220 or something right now. Yeah. So is again.
He did a call? What the fuck made him do a call?
Every time he asked me about it, I'm like, hey man, I don't mess with them options like that no more. Like, if I'm gonna do it, it's gonna be play money. But unless it's something that, again, if you focus on everything, you focus on nothing. I can't be an options trader, a business owner, insurance adjuster, manager, and 5 other things at once. I need to pick a fucking lane.
Mhm.
And if I'm gonna work on my business, that's what I'm gonna do. And I'm just gonna invest slowly but surely. If you want to be an investor full time, you want to be a trader full time, that's what you need to be locked in on your side time. You work to fund your account, and then you spend your additional time mastering your craft. If I ain't mastering that craft, I'm not about to be spending all my money in there. Cause I've learned from the hard way. It was a lot of money that I lost in like 2021 and 2020 trying to trade fucking options when I should have just been buying these stocks. If I'd have just bought the damn stock, I'd have made more money if I was being patient instead of looking for a quick flip.
You ain't lying, brother.
And same thing with getting over leverage. If you looking for a quick flip, you always think your time horizon is so damn fast, you're looking at unsustainable growth. Think about how you could do it sustainably before you just jump off the deep end. Cause sometimes you jump off the deep end, you can't get out that water. That current gonna pull you away. And I ain't trying to get knocked out the game.
I ain't trying to get knocked out the game either, brother. I got too much to take care of for me to get knocked out of this game.
You feel me?
Hell yeah.
Indeed. But
you got
man, that's all I got,
get
dog.
into, brother?
Nah, that's all I got, bro. I think we could save the next topics for the next time. You know what I'm saying? I think we got a good topic for you guys on the next one. Definitely interested to get into that conversation. But I guess we could just go ahead and get into the closing for the show. So as always, guys, I want to thank each and every one of you for being a listener of the Black Wealth Renaissance podcast. We definitely appreciate each and every one of you for tapping in and week out and letting us know how the show has affected you. You know what I'm saying? If you got something valuable out of this, go ahead, let us know. We love to hear back from you. If you want to hear something from us, if there's something that you want us to cover more or discuss, let us know. We're open to all feedback. We're going to continue to work to elevate this podcast in every way, shape, and form. Jalen mentioned it earlier. We were talking about, the uhs and the ums. I think we did a little bit better this time. We go ahead on the playback. We're going to see. But again, the goal here is constant improvement with whatever portion of our journey we on. So as you guys continue to go on that journey with us, we just ask that, you keep us in your thoughts and prayers. You keep working toward what you working toward, and we're going to see each other at the top.
Just once again, appreciate everybody who's new listening to this. We hope that you guys got something. Thank you to all the listeners, the day one listeners, the people who've been here, been rocking with us since we had the terrible audio shooting out my grandmother's back room. Appreciate everybody just for tapping in. We hope that you got something. And if you stayed here to this far, you a real one. Like David said, leave us that 5-star rating and review. We'll go ahead and get this prayer in. And we'll be back next week. So we'll just bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, just use me. Let me be a vessel. We just want to say thank you for allowing us to place this information on our heart, allowing us to put these topics on our heart. We ask that these topics have some type of impact, some type of influence over anybody's lives, taking them out of a terrible situation or even just shed new light on a situation that can allow them to change financially, spiritually, emotionally. Let them grow, Heavenly Father. In Jesus' name, amen. We pray.
Amen, amen, and amen. Yes, sir, in Jesus' name. And like we said, until next time, y'all stay black, stay beautiful, stay wealthy.
Yes, sir.
And we'll see you on the next one. BWR signing out.
Peace.
Peace.